Well, I'm in between races here. I'm in between races here as I get ready to race JK Mega. We had a couple of horses race today. I wanted to talk about them. I did a video this morning. I forgot to upload it, and immediately it was obsolete. It was expired, so to speak. A lot of things going on, and I mentioned that quite a bit this time of year in the fall. I have going to bed and at quiet times throughout the day thinking about maybe looking at yearlings, and then obviously racing our horses. And when I come to the track, I have to be laser focused. And somebody reminded me that I need to check the steering fluid in my race bike tonight. I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you. I want to talk about the horses last night and maybe my day after thoughts as to them. I don't think they've changed that much from last night on the way home, though. And then obviously we have staking calendars, paths that we're looking at for horses. You heard me briefly speak about Jolene Hall, and then obviously with last night, Uncle Danny and Supermind, even Emerald Tom, Tomboy Strong, and it just a lot of movement right now. We're trying to pick the best way forward. The good news is that the horses seem to have come back to life. I was speaking to Dr. Latessa this morning about a number of things, and I'd said to him, Supermind was on the right line a little bit more and a little softer in the corners than I'd like, and somebody was there and said, I hope you're not trying to blame the horse. I said, no, it's my fault. He ran in the other turn as much as that one, so it had nothing to do with that. It was just an error on my part. I misjudged the pylon structure coming out of the turn. It's not like they've changed it. I was just trying to get going a little bit quicker and made a mistake. But that last quarter was recorded as 28-1, and I really never even got them revved up until we come out of the turn. So I would have to believe, and not I'd have to believe, I'm absolutely certain that last eighth was 27-second speed, which is a big deal for Supermind. It's a real jump forward. As far as the softness, I don't think it's anything major, and certainly something that Dr. Latessa can work on. And then when you factor in his GGT, and his blood work was not perfect, I think we're going to have a good finish to the year of Supermind. We just have to stay on that aggressive path with him and Danny. Make some corrections, which I started to make today on Emerald Tom. I spoke to Enos, our blacksmith, and Jason about what I thought. And I think rather than get too complicated, we're going to simplify it. We're going to take all the weight off him. He's just going to wear 4 aluminums, which is rare for a 2-year-old trotter, at least on a half-mile track. If you're talking about, a top flight trotter that can trot with anything on, fine. But when you're talking about making shoeing adjustments to a 2-year-old trotter, 4 aluminums is not generally the first choice of many. I just want to see how he trots with them on. If we have to add maybe a pad up front or bell boots or whatnot, then we can address that at some point. But with the way his body mass has changed, his gait has somewhat changed also, and in turn he's changed completely. So rather than look at Emerald Tom and try to revisit what worked before or how he was before, scrap that idea. That won't work. He's not the same horse. He's a bigger, stronger, heavier horse than he was before. And I think there is still a nice horse in there. Now, somebody had mentioned to me this morning, and they could be right. I need everybody to understand, when I talk to you with the confidence I do, it's because I believe what I'm saying is going to work perfectly every single time. And that can't be the case. You have to understand that. These are living, breathing animals, right? I don't have a crystal ball. This is best guess after almost 3 decades of training horses. And I'm going to be right sometimes, and I'm going to be wrong sometimes. And somebody messaged me this morning and said, could it be that Emerald Tom is just tired? Maybe you just kick him out. That's a fair assessment. I can't say that is wrong. But I just don't believe we're there just yet, for a number of reasons that I just described. I think it's more mechanical than anything else. And then the underpinning to all of that with Emerald Tom is that his blood work was not right last night. It was even worse than Supermind's. His GGT was higher. His white count was still a little bit elevated. His eosinophils were still a little bit elevated. These are things we can work on, but we couldn't fix them before last night. And you might say, well, that's what happens. Well, Supermind was very good last night. Similar bloods. And obviously the aggressive treatment that worked with Uncle Danny has not got those other 2 there yet, but it will. So most importantly, that again, a big thank you to Dr. Latessa for getting the horses right and taking them on is not just, a place or a barn I have to go to at 8:45 in the morning, or when I'm done at this barn, I got to go there, but treating the horses like the patients they are, and that professionalism. Although, I would hope you would get that from a lot of people in this industry. It just isn't always the case. So a thank you to him for that. So those 3 horses were great last night. Today we did have some bad luck. Resolve Indeed raced poorly, and Dune ended up 5th. Now, I could explain both trips quite easily to you. I had an email this afternoon from one of our clients, and he was very disappointed and a little angry with the drive of Resolve Indeed. Well, my answer to that is simple. Ronnie Wren is one of the most professional drivers I know. Now, I hang around Scotty and James and Yannick, but Ronnie doesn't get to race up with them all that often. Did win the Breeders' Crown last year. That is worth noting. But as far as your general everyday driver, very polite, smart guy, doesn't do stupid things on the track. When's the last time you saw Ronnie Wren sitting behind a horse with a heartbeat that came 34 seconds? It just doesn't happen. And the reason that it did today is a couple of things. I would say after the scope, she showed a little bit of blood, but I think that blood was predicated on what had come before, and that was her getting her air shut off. Now, why? That's the problem right there, is that there's no real reason for Resolve Indeed to be rude like that. She just is, right? Just a little bit rude. And that rudeness leads to her being the inferior horse that she is. She's just a run-of-the-mill overnight filly. That's what she is. That's what horses like that are, right? We had 2-year-olds that were grabby and hot. And look at Jailbird Jogger, any number of our 2-year-olds. Hot and grabby. They wore snake cords, and they wore hoods, they wore this, they wore that. But when push came to shove and they started to grow and mature, all of a sudden they don't wear that stuff anymore. Highest Honors, perfect example. Very, very rude training down. From time to time could be really a handful, and is now just turned into the sweetest horse of all because they understand their work, and they've really, as I like to say lately, at least bought into it. They've bought into the fact that they are good at their job, and they try to excel at it. But you have the other horses that are just the laborers, right? Just the ones that want to come and pick up their paycheck and go home. And those are the Resolve Indeeds. And they're the horses that we try to weed out, right? Now, he's a Fearless Peter. Same type of thing. He might grow to be a better overnight racehorse, but I just don't see that same attitude bubbling. I don't see that buying in happening. And that's what you get. You get horses that shut their air off. You get horses that put themselves in bad spots, right? I know her. I left with her, got away in the 2-hole with her, had to fight with her for a quarter of a mile. She settled, moved her down the backstretch, and still got picked off. That was a winning race that she lost. And then Greg Grismore got away 4th with her in a bad spot. She was getting really hot. The pace was slowing, and he moved her. Fizzled out. Ronnie today probably fought with her in the post parade, probably hot coming off the car, and just decided to let her trot forward. At that point, I would say she'd already shut her air off a little bit. And that's where you saw that slow last quarter. So how do we fix that? Well, I can tell you the easiest way to fix it, and what will happen is we'll probably put that other win on our card, whether it be here or the Meadows. We'll get there, and then we'll sell her, right? Those horses need to go. There needs to be a line drawn in the sand where we are going to take the time to foster and cultivate the horses like Highest Honors. And we're going to continue to, move on or cull the weakest of the herd, which is the Resolve Indeeds and He's a Fearless Peters and those types of horses. And you guys know that. I don't have to tell you that this is well proven. So that's likely what we will do moving forward with those horses. Now, Resolve Indeed did bleed today. Likely she probably could have tied up a little bit too. We're going to draw our blood tomorrow and go from there. Does she come back here and race in that class? I don't know. We'll figure that out in the next couple of days. We'll just chalk it up to an abomination of a race today. Now, Dune, the Wayne Miller's horses, I don't know what to tell you. These things ran off the screen all day long. Hard. 56-4 over Hastings. Come on. That just sucked the life out of Dune. She's running in, her feet are hurting her a little bit. Donnie has her good. But when you're, let's say she's at 100%, what's she going to pace? 58, 59? And then you just throw a little 56 and a piece at her. And that was 56 wrapped up. That was even faster going around the last turn. Like, just stretched the life right out of her. And she just fizzled out. Any horse would do that. It's like saying I got a really nice non-winners of 4 pacer and then putting him in a North American Cup. That's why we don't do things like that. So it's hard for her. I'm not shocked by the outcome. And I don't think there was anything. If you'd have said before the race, hey, where do you want to get away to finish second? If we're going to chance to win this, where do we get away? 2-hole. 2-hole all day long. Not today. So the Wayne Miller horse put a real beating on her. There's not much we can do about that. It's done now. She finished 5th. She's got 3 more races left, and we'll put her away for the season. Tonight, I'm going to drive JK Mega in about 7 minutes. I'm going to go on the track. He warmed up very good tonight also, so I'm expecting a decent race for him. I don't know much about him, but I will after the race. And then Manhattan Money, I know lots about him. I'm just curious, how well is he going to get around Northfield? He gets around this track well. He jogs tonight. I don't think they can beat him. If he doesn't get around well, back to the drawing board, I guess. We'll figure it out afterwards. But he's been racing well forever, really. He just gradually got to a point where that's what I am. And I think you're going to see him get better as I think he'll be a solid 54 trotter as a 4-year-old. I just don't know where that puts him, right? So the latter part of our day does look optimistic. I was concerned about the first part. I thought Dune would get a bigger hunk, but I can tell you exactly why. It certainly wasn't her fault or Donnie's fault. You can only go so fast. And at some point, you're just exhausted and say, enough's enough. It's just human or horse nature. So that's that. Very pleased with yesterday. A little disappointed with the start of today, but looking to cap it off with a couple of good miles from JK Mega and Manhattan Money. And then tomorrow, optimistic through the board. See how the fillies race tomorrow. Then we'll go from there with them. And then obviously Friday, I'm not here. I did want to. I'll be completely honest. I did want to go with Arrowhead Hanover and Gorgeous Package on Friday. But you know what? Between you and me and the lamppost, this will probably be Ollie's last ball games in Ontario. And I want to be there. I want to be there to see him play. So Saturday, that was the deal. I'm going to be gone Saturday. We have Time Is On My Side and a number of horses in Saturday afternoon. But I am taking Friday off, and I'm going to go watch Ollie play his last tournament in Ontario. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I finally got this video done. I was rambling, and I just had a million things to talk about, and I'm glad I got to clear my head, warm the horse up, get ready to go, and make this video for you. Ohio, we have 2 racing tonight. Excited about JK Mega going on the track in about 4 minutes. Good luck to all my partners. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I will talk to you. Maybe I'll give you another update later on. We'll see.